Now, before people ask why we're not on the game that we're talking about today, it's not actually installed on my PS4. I thought it was, but it wasn't, and I kind of need to get this video done now, because when you're seeing this, I'm recording this on Thursday, you're seeing this on Friday, because it's actually my birthday today, so yeah. Now, I want to talk about BFN today, and it heading to Switch. We got it confirmed last night, as I'm recording this, through a Nintendo Direct, that BFN is heading to Switch, and it's on March 19th. It is a month today. Well, a month, as you guys are seeing this, a month tomorrow for me. So I'm just going to say this now, if I say a month tomorrow in this video, I mean a month today. I'm recording this on the 18th, you guys are seeing this on the 19th, so yeah. Now, I haven't seen the price or anything, I have my Switch in front of me. You guys are going to get my reaction to pretty much everything other than the fact that it's heading to Switch. Now, it did say Complete Edition, so whether we're getting some additional stuff in that, it'd be nice to know. I haven't seen it, so you guys are getting my reaction to that. I don't know the price for it either. I'm reckoning 20-30 quid. More than likely 30, actually. 35? Huh. What does a Complete Edition include, though? God, motion controls. Yeah. Wait, choose an interact. Wait, prize map selector. I want to talk about the game in general as well in this video. But, yeah. Complete Edition. Venture into the outer edges of Navyville offline. Customize every character in battle. What do you do? Play with your favourite people. Party with up-to-3 friends. Motion controls and touch menus. Okay. I think the most interesting one on there is prize map selector. Reading it, and it says choose from and interact with all 12 prize maps from any time. Pre-order and get the Judge Z costume for 80s and Legendary Chickpea. Oh, so pre-order and you basically get the digital stuff. 5 explosive emojis, special digital comic. Huh. Now, I do want to talk more about the fact that BFN's heading to Switch, because it's quite interesting. And it's quite interesting for one main reason. They did say they were done with the game. If you remember back when they stopped the prize maps, they did say they were done with the game. You know, they essentially pulled the plug on the game and they said they were going to go and work on something else. Now, whether this is that something else they were working on, I don't know. Half of me wants to hope not. Wants to hope that, you know, this isn't that other thing they were working on, because I don't know how I feel in the first place about it. Pretty much for that reason. I don't know how I feel about BFN heading to Switch. Is it possibly too late for the game? Maybe. Yes, maybe. Is this an opportune time for it to head to Switch? Also maybe. Because I know there are a lot of people out there that, you know, maybe want to dip their toe, you know, maybe want to play PvZ. You know, PvZ hasn't been on a Nintendo console, I think, in about 10 years. Correct me if I'm wrong, but the only other PvZ game on a Nintendo console has been the original. The original PvZ, which was on the DS, and I believe got a virtual console release for the Wii U. But it's like I said, is this a good... Is BFN the comeback that PvZ needs as a whole for Nintendo consoles? Half of me says yes, half of me says no. Because, yes, BFN is, you know, pretty much universally not that much, or not liked as much as, say, Garden Warfare 1 or Garden Warfare 2. But this could also mean good things for BFN. This could mean BFN gets a second chance. Because I've been thinking about it over the past few days, and honestly, I could see this being... I could honestly see BFN actually getting support again. If all goes well and the Switch release actually works well for them, I could honestly see BFN heading to Switch actually working out well. I could see this being an opportune moment for them. Because in the end of the day, you know, it's BFN. People wanted Garden Warfare 2 on Switch originally. Well, you know, there were people that wanted Garden Warfare 2 on Switch. Not gonna lie, I was one of them people that wanted Garden Warfare 2 on Switch. But then it also got to a point where it's like, you know, the game's getting older, and you know, if they're following the release if they're following a release pattern of, you know, one about every 2 years or so, at that point we were due on like the next year. You know, we were due, if they were following the release pattern of one every 2 years, we were due on in 2018, which, you know, everyone knows they weren't, because we got one in 2019 instead. And it did kind of reach that point of, you know, in hindsight now, would it have been better for Garden Warfare 2 to be the game, you know, brought PvZ back to Nintendo? Quite possibly yes, and also quite possibly no. Don't get me wrong, whilst it's amazing PvZ is, you know, reintroducing itself to Nintendo consoles, you've also got that question of, should they be trusting BFN to do it? And it's not so much a thing of trust, it's more a thing of, should BFN be the one they use? Personally speaking, I don't think it should have been. I don't think BFN should have been the PvZ game they used to bring Nintendo consoles back into the limelight. And you couldn't have just jumped. Why? You know, I honestly, I have mixed feelings. I think people are going to be protective of PvZ when it comes back to, you know, Nintendo consoles. Because bear in mind, it's been, what, a decade now? It's been a decade since we've seen a PvZ game on a Nintendo branded console. And I think in basic rundown of it all, it's an edgy move. And I don't want to say this because it's BFN. I want to say this because of the, you know, hiatus that PvZ has had from Nintendo consoles. Now, don't get me wrong, obviously looking at it, you know, maybe Garden Warfare 2 wouldn't have ran that well anyway. You can tell me these are like pretty high level, aren't they? Oh, 58. But, you know, I think there are going to be people in the end which say, you know, BFN shouldn't have been the game they chose. I mean, hell, I'm saying it now, you know, BFN shouldn't have been the game they used. Because honestly, I don't think them using BFN was the smartest of choices. You know, the Switch kicked off pretty well. I think having Garden Warfare 2 as a launch title for Switch, or even, you know, one that came out in launch a year, you know, even if Garden Warfare 2 came out for Switch in 2017, I do think the game, or, you know, PvZ could possibly get a bit of a better reception. Because I think this decision could very possibly be a make or break. I'm not going to be one to sit here and go, you know, and point fingers, saying, you know, oh, it's just EA wanting to milk money. Because if they're following the whole thing of, you know, they're doing no, like, additional stuff for the game, because when I read the description for the complete edition, and it said pre-order bonus was the deluxe edition, you know, content, that did make me wonder something. It does make me wonder to whether or not we're gonna get the additional packs. Because if you remember, we got the additional packs which had, what was it? It was like the Festive Brains one. You had like the festive one for E-Sliding Corn, you know, Electric Sliding Corn. You had, what were the other ones? You had quite a few. But I think the biggest question is, if they're not doing in-app purchases for the game, how's Rooks gonna work? Because obviously, you know, Rooks in BFN, how do you say, isn't exactly free-to-play friendly as much as he is in this game. And that's obviously runs a question of, what role is Rooks gonna play? Because Rooks is known as being, you know, basically the dealer for pretty much everything, you know, costume-wise, and it's how you get, you know, the additional characters. You have to go to him and you have to buy them. You can either do it with Rainbow Stars or you can do it with 500k. Because that's the other thing as well. If they're getting rid of in-app purchases, are they going to get rid of Rainbow Stars? I have no idea. You know, obviously, even then, there are stuff that they've added, which, if it's coming to, you know, the other platforms BFN's already on, then, you know, back in September, did that really mark the end for BFN? Because that's, I suppose that's my main question now. Did September truly mark the end for BFN? Because I honestly don't think if September did mark the end for BFN, they would have brought the game to Switch. And I think that's what a lot of people are feeling now. You know, if the game's truly over and done with, why are they exactly bringing it to Switch? You know, the game's pretty much already ran its course. And you know, I think people kind of questioned at first, is this a case of EA simply wanting, you know, more cash out of, you know, BFN? Or is this a case of, you know, they actually want to try and give the game a second chance? And I think in my mind, I want to believe that they're giving the game a second chance. I honestly want to believe they're giving the game a second chance. And whilst that's kind of brave to say, it's also one of those of, you know, yeah. You've got to think of it like that. So, actually, that's something else that I wanted to talk about. Fall Guys. And they kind of dropped that first, you know, as one of the first things. And I suppose it was kind of one of those of, you know, Fall Guys could always tell. Or Fall Guys pretty much had it in it. You know, Fall Guys had the dead giveaway that it was going to Switch. You know, it had, because it had the developer SDK in it, or whatever it was called. It had the dev kit for Switch in it, and it was only a matter of time before, you know, they actually announced the game for Switch. And then everyone started raising the question of, you know, when's it actually going to officially come to Switch? And then everyone kind of started questioning, you know, what's happening with Xbox then? Because that'd leave Xbox as, you know, the only platform which then won't have Fall Guys. But I've literally just gone on Twitter and seen the fact that the Fall Guys is going to Xbox as well. I saw Series S and X, but I'm presuming it's going to the One and all that as well. So, yeah. I mean, obviously now that kind of means Fall Guys isn't an exclusive anymore. But it's also coming out, funnily enough, a year after, and this isn't the soldier I thought I was playing. I thought I was playing Super Commando. But wait 5 seconds. And, you know, obviously, Fall Guys is one of those now where it's like, out of everything you possibly could have ported, or out of everything you could have started the Direct with Nintendo, you know, the first one in over a year, well, the second thing you could have shown off, did the second thing you show off really have to be Fall Guys? I know everyone's been wanting it and it's been pretty requested, but it's a pretty dead game, let's be honest. And I don't think, you know, Fall Guys going to Switch is going to help, because it's also coming out a year after the PS4 version came out. I believe they said something like July or like August to July or something. But, you know, that's still months after, that's like almost a solid year after the original version, after the PS4 version. And do I think it'll come to the same reception? No. I don't think Fall Guys will come to Switch with the same reception at all. I don't think it'll crash the servers like it originally did when it came out on PS4. I think, you know, them days are gone. Because to be honest with you, Fall Guys has kind of just died. Fall Guys kind of just slowly died. I don't want to say soon after it came out, but pretty soon after the first season ended. If not before the first season ended. The game basically died. You know, it's been a dead game for months now, and I have toyed around with going back to the game, but in all fairness, I don't think I want to in the long run, because it's one of those of, you know, you don't hear much about the game anymore, and you kind of gotta wonder, is this a stunt to get the game back in to popularity and actually get people talking about the game again? And that's the other thing. It's like Fall Guys kind of came and ran its course. I think it came at a kind of, don't know, it came at an unforeseen time, I think is how I want to put it. It kind of came, and then about a month later, Among Us kind of rose into fame. And I think that's what happened to Fall Guys, is Among Us, no one could see Among Us actually becoming as popular as it did. It was a game from 2018. No one expected it to become popular as it did, as popular as it did. and it's one of those. And you had other, don't get me wrong, you had other things in the Direct. Honestly, as well, speaking about the Direct in general, I think it was a solid return for Directs. Granted, they didn't have one in over a year. I think the way they ended it was strong. They ended it with some Zelda announcements, because, you know, obviously, I believe it's Sunday is the, what, 35th anniversary of Zelda? 30th? 35th? 35th. Did I hit that? I seriously didn't hit that. But yeah, obviously the 35th anniversary of Zelda's on Monday. Sunday, I mean. And it was a shame not to see more than what we got. We were told that, you know, we're getting some Breath of the Wild 2 announcements later this year, which, that's amazing. You know, we're getting Breath of the Wild 2 stuff this year, which, you know, for saying the game's due out, is it next year? They said in 2019, because they kind of didn't say anything last year, and I actually just got a kill with that. But yeah, honestly, I think if anything, we won't get a release date announcement this year. I can't see us getting one. If we do, I'll be surprised. But yeah, the other thing that I actually expected us to hear something about was Metroid Prime 4, because obviously it's been what, like, it's been over like 18 months since we heard anything about that game. Because didn't they like restart it back in 2018? And, you know, we heard that, you know, they basically came out and said openly, hey, we restarted Metroid Prime 4, it will take a bit longer. But that's kind of the last we heard. We never heard anything since, and we just never heard anything else, basically. And there does come a point where it's like, you know, is Metroid Prime 4 still happening? Is it been cancelled? Or has, you know, it kind of just been thrown off at the side and they're working on other stuff? I don't know. But yeah. Going back to the Zelda stuff, we did get Skyward Sword HD. Granted, it's coming out in like July. It's 16th, isn't it? It's like July 16th. It's either June or July 16th. And we're getting some Skyward Sword, or we're getting some Zelda themed Joy-Cons. I think they said something like the right one's themed like the Master Sword and the left one's themed like the Hylian Shield. But it's cool to see Skyward Sword getting remastered. Would I have liked to see something else for Zelda? Yeah. I honestly would have liked to see something else for Zelda. Don't know, I'm not ungrateful that we're getting Skyward Sword HD. But in one way, it's $60, 50 quid. Which, that's also the price of most of the first party games from Nintendo. But it's also one of those of, you know, Mario's 35th, they did a collection of games. Zelda's, we're simply getting a game. You know, for Mario's 35th, we got, what? Like, the Mario 35, we got, you know, an abundance of other announcements. We got the Mario 35 collection, being 64, Galaxy and Sunshine. I got the last two in the wrong order then. You know, we got 64, Sunshine and Galaxy announced for Switch. It took them a few months to figure some stuff out for it, because the cubes that show up in the emulation for Sunshine showed up. And, you know, we got quite a few things from Mario's 35th. And for saying Zelda's you know, what, like, probably their second most popular franchise, obviously after Mario, and for saying that, you know, we had the Direct on the 18th and Zelda's 35th is on the 21st, so, like, what, 3 days after, we got nothing. It is disappointing, you know. I would have liked to see a port or a remake or something other than Skyward Sword HD. Well, I would like to see something like we got with Mario. I would like to see something like Mario 35, but obviously Zelda. Or sorry, not Mario 35. Mario 3D All Stars, but for Zelda. So, you know, like, let's say for argument's sake, Ocarina of Time, Wind Waker, and Skyward Sword, or Twilight Princess or something. But that's not what we got. We kind of got, you know, Skyward Sword. And do I think they'll announce anything else for Zelda this year? No. Because there's not really much point. They kind of did a Direct and shoved Zelda right at the end of it. And yeah. But speaking about the end of the Direct, ho ho, where do we start? Put it like this. The grin on my face from seeing Zelda Skyward Sword HD got quite a bit larger. We're getting Splatoon 3. We're getting Splatoon 3 next year. Now, obviously, you know, we're only in February. You know, granted it's, what, February 18th, 19th when you're seeing this. But we're getting Splatoon 3 next year. You know, Splatoon's been one of those franchises for Nintendo which they said in, like, what was it, 2018, 2019, they're done with Splatoon 2, no more Splatfests, you know, nothing happening in Splatoon 2 anymore. But then 2020, they decided, you know, nah, we'll do some Splatfests. They did some Splatfests. I think quite a few people actually went back to the game, because everyone kind of presumed that, you know, Splatoon 2's kind of done, over and done with now. I think that's what everyone kind of thought, but then they announced, you know, Splatfests are happening in Splatoon 2, and I think quite a few people actually went back to it. Now, they just dropped Splatoon 3 right at the end. And to be honest with you, I'm definitely getting it. Because Splatoon's one of those where, I think at first for Nintendo it was one of those of, you know, it was a loose cannon, it was an attempt at an online shooter, and it worked tremendously well for them, and they followed through with it, and look at where it got them. You know, it got them going pretty well, and it's pretty funny, you know, because it's pretty cool to see where that little kind of thing just got them, and it's pretty cool. So yeah, it's awesome to see where Splatoon got them, on all honesty. Yeah, basic rundown of the whole Direct. It's mixed. BFN in general, I think, is going to be one of those of, if they could get it right, if they can get it right now, like, if they can get it right when it releases, it's gonna be good. If they can get it right as it's, you know, going, then, well, if they can get it right, you know, when it releases for Switch, then I think it could honestly be the comeback for BFN that BFN needs. If they get it wrong, then I suppose the shooters as a whole, or PvZ as a whole, could be in jeopardy. Because I feel like them porting BFN to Switch is going to be a very much make or break situation. It's either going to go very well for PvZ as a whole, or it's going to be rocky. And to be honest with you, I don't want to believe that they're going to repeat the mistakes they made originally with BFN. And it's gonna be, yeah. I think in overall, this thing with BFN they're doing is going to be a make or break. If they hit the right notes, it could make up for BFN. If they don't hit the right notes, then it's gonna be, yeah, it's gonna be hard for BFN and the shooters as a whole. I hope they hit the right notes. I'm hoping very much that, you know, BFN can hit the right notes now, and, you know, get itself back in there. Because in the end of it all, if BFN can't hit the right notes with Switch, with its Switch release, then God knows what could happen to PvZ. And it's scary to say that, but it's true. As sad as it is to say, it's honestly true. Yeah. If they fail to hit the right notes with BFN now, I'm gonna be scared for the rest of the franchise. Because didn't EA shut down, like, the Mass Effect? If I remember correctly, EA shut down the Mass Effect studio purely because it just didn't make enough money off of the final game. And it's one of those of I don't want to repeat of that. So I don't want them to shut down PopCap because it just simply didn't make enough money off BFN. I don't want PopCap, I don't want EA to repeat what they did with Mass Effect Studio. And I think a fair amount of people are scared EA will repeat that, because in the end of it all, it is EA. They're known to do weird things, they're known to do wacky things. They're known to do stuff that no one else would think of doing. And it's out there, you know. You never know. They could end up shutting down PopCap just because it doesn't make enough money off of BFN. So it's like I said, I honestly think this release needs to make up for what BFN couldn't make originally, back in 2019, early 2020. Because that's the other thing as well. BFN, I've always said this about BFN, the way it released, it never did it any good. You know, Founders was dry for the most part. You know, people were getting Founders, and before the game even globally launched, they were done with BFN. And it's one of those of, you know, PopCap needs to keep people's interest in BFN now. You know, they need to make BFN what BFN could possibly be. And I ain't gonna lie to you guys, I have hope for BFN again. I honestly do have hope for the game again. But like I said, I ain't gonna put everything on BFN. I'm not gonna say, you know, that's it. I'm not gonna say that's it. The focus of the channel is moving to BFN. I've always said that that ain't gonna be the case. I've been a pretty... I suppose I've always had a pretty, you know, edgy hand when it comes to BFN, if that's what you want to say. I've always been very careful when it came to BFN, because you could see BFN wasn't going to be what PopCap were wanting it to be. And I stayed away from the video from the beta, from the picnic beta. But even then, from what I was hearing, you could tell it was not going to be what they were hoping it would be. And yeah, I suppose it's one of those now of, you just gotta play it by ear, gotta watch out. I'm gonna say this now, I'm not shifting the focus back to BFN. I'm not becoming a primary BFN channel. It's not happening. Don't get me wrong, if you guys want it, I will happily play BFN once or twice a week. But yeah, I'm not shifting it. I'm not going back to 7 streams a week. You know, streams every day of the week. And I suppose the main reason of me doing that is A, it's tiring, and B, I don't want it. I've always been, you know, the person to say I'm not streaming for the money, I do it for the fun, which is why I don't do 7 streams a week anymore. And you know, I'd rather have quality over quantity. And if I do 7 streams a week, and that means, you know, I'm drained by the end of them, you know, drained at like the last stream of the week and the first stream of the week, I wouldn't rather do it. I'd rather do 2 streams a week where I have the same amount of energy, and you know, I'm acting the same and all that. So yeah. Anyway guys, I'm going to end the video here, not stream. I'll see you guys later. Adios.